So today we have Mr. TV Narendran, Managing Director of Tata Steel Limited. So many congratulations for winning the Prime Minister Trophy.
Thank you.
Once again PM Trophy winner. So under your guidance, Tata Steel has made this a habit, taking home the prestigious trophy. How do you feel about it?
It's great. Every time we get it, we feel humbled, we feel privileged. It's a great way to recognize the efforts put in by all my colleagues. I think they work very hard to get these recognitions.
What is the one thing that you feel sets Tata Steel apart from other steel producers in the country?
I don't know whether it sets us apart from other steel producers, but to me the passion and commitment of our employees is something which is really special. We have multi-generation employees. We have some employees who are now the 6th generation. So I think they would do anything for Tata Steel, and that's Tata Steel's greatest strength.
That's great. I believe that the assessment criteria for the PM Trophy is undergoing some change, keeping in view the changing environment norms, efficiency parameters, etc. Would you like to comment on that, please?
I think like everything else, norms have to change. They have to be reflective of the context. They have to reflect what is happening internationally. And I think there's greater and greater focus on the environment, so it's only appropriate that the norms are changed to reflect that.
What will be your strategy next year to win this trophy again?
Continue to keep doing better and better. We'll stay focused on that. We'll be continuously customer focused. We'll continuously keep investing on R&D, technology, innovation, operational efficiencies, and stakeholder management.
Steel producers across the globe are pushing their steel into our country. What is the prime reason for this? And is India doing anything about it?
India is one of the most exciting markets in the world from a steel demand point of view. So we're seeing steel demand growing at 5, 6, 7%. Very few countries in the world have that kind of demand growth. So India is an attractive market to sell steel. So that's why you would see a lot of countries who have steel in excess of what they can consume locally, looking at India as a market to attack.
Right. Indian exports have sharply fallen and imports increased heavily. How do you plan to reverse this? Is there any strategy?
Well, Tata Steel typically exports anything from 5 to 15% of what it produces. So we stay in that band. And I think it normally is dependent on the international prices. If the international prices are attractive, we export closer to 15%.
Are you seeking any support from the government?
For exports?
Yes.
Not
and to control imports? Or
well, on exports, I think what we need to deal with in India, which is relevant for both the domestic market and exports, is to keep investing in the infrastructure, because there are a lot of inefficiencies outside the factory gates. In India,
right.
I think most steel plants have now reached world-class levels in terms of in-plant efficiencies. So where the government has been doing a lot of work and where it can continue to do more work is to help us drive greater efficiencies outside the steel plant. As far as imports is concerned, I think the larger point is I think we should encourage people to invest in India, make steel in India. India is one of the few countries in the world which allow you 100% ownership of a steel plant. So let anyone who's interested to sell steel in India come and make in India. We have no problem with that. Let the best in the world come and make in India.
How do you see the bottom line of steel companies towards the end of 2019 and 20?
Well, next year will probably be a bit more challenging than the last year, because there's still a little bit of uncertainty on global markets. We don't know whether the US economic growth will continue in the same way as it did over the last year or two. If it slows down, that will have an impact. We are also watchful on what's happening in China. So there's a bit more uncertainty this year in March, looking forward, than there was last year in March.
What is your say on RCEP?
I think again, my larger point is we should first encourage people to come and make steel in India. Because India is a great place to produce steel. It has the raw materials, it has the markets. We need to create jobs in India. So while I am all for free trade, but I think we also need to make sure that wherever India is a great place to manufacture, we should encourage that. I think that's our responsibility as well to the youth of the country who are looking for jobs.
What is the biggest problem for the Indian steel today? I'll give you the options. Is it lack of domestic demand, increasing imports, or decreasing export opportunities?
Off and on, it's increasing imports. I think domestic demand is okay. We again have no problem with imports as long as they're not unfairly priced. Till 2015, I don't think the steel industry complained about imports, and India had less than 5% import duty on steel. In fact, it had almost 0% import duty for some countries. But this industry has been efficient and been able to compete with that. I think whenever the steel prices are abnormal compared to international prices or the domestic prices in those exporting countries, then obviously the industry, I think, has every right to make some noise.
Indian steel mills are globally very competitive, yet in various forums it is said that they need to further strengthen themselves. How do you think the mills can achieve this?
Well, we should, to me, being competitive is a continuous journey. So we are relentlessly focused on being competitive. And I think some of the steel plants in India, including Tata steel plants, are amongst the best in the world in terms of competitiveness. So that's why we don't have a problem competing with anyone who's selling at a fair price. When I say fair price, it is a price at which they make money. In the past, we've had situation where Chinese steel was being sold here at prices at which they were losing money, and I don't think we should allow that to happen.
Are you positive about steel ministry's vision of 300 million tons?
I think I'm quite positive about the demand. I'm not so sure about the production, simply because it takes a long time to build a steel plant in India. It is also an industry where a lot of people have spent money and lost money. So I think we need a lot of capital to move from the current level of 100 million to 300 million. That calls for about $200 billion of capital. So while I'm positive about the demand growth, because infrastructure spend will be there in India, and the automobiles and construction and all of the consuming industries will grow, I am a bit less positive about the ability of the industry to produce 300 million tons in the next 10-12 years, because of the availability of land, availability of capital. Some of us are strong enough to keep growing, but not everyone has the capability or the appetite.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.